Have you ever felt like if you just said the right thing, waited the right amount of time, or acted a little cooler, everything in your relationship would finally make sense? Like love is some kind of puzzle, and if you just twist the pieces correctly, you'll get the outcome you want. Yeah. That feeling, that's the illusion of control. We like to believe we're in control in relationships, but if we behave correctly, people will stay. Love us the same way, and never change. It feels comforting. It feels safe, but most of the time, it's not real. Let's start with something simple. Have you ever rewritten a text 10 times before sending it? Not because you didn't know what you felt, but because you were trying to control how the other person would react. Too short feels cold. Too long feels desperate. Too honest feels risky. So you craft the perfect message, send it, and then stare at your phone like it's a medical monitor, keeping your emotions alive. That's not communication. That's control disguised as care. The illusion of control in relationships usually comes from fear. Fear of losing someone. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of not being enough. When we're scared, our brain tries to regain balance by controlling what it can: our words, our behavior, our timing. We think, if I stay calm, they won't leave. If I don't complain, they won't get tired of me. If I love them harder, they'll love me back the same way. But love doesn't work like a remote control. You can't press a button and change someone's feelings. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're in a relationship where you're constantly adjusting yourself. You don't bring up things that bother you. You laugh when something hurts. You pretend you're okay with less effort than you deserve. You tell yourself, I'm just being understanding. But deep down, you're hoping that by being easy to love, you can control the outcome, keep the relationship stable, avoid conflict, avoid loss. That's the illusion. Because the truth is, you can control your actions, but you cannot control someone else's emotional capacity. You cannot control their honesty. You cannot control their growth, or lack of Italiano. Another place this illusion shows up is overthinking. You analyze their tone. You read between the lines. You try to predict their next move. You start believing that if you understand them well enough, you can prevent disappointment. But overthinking isn't insight. It's anxiety pretending to be preparation. And let's add a little humor here, because this is painfully relatable. You convince yourself, I won't get attached. 3 weeks later, you're emotionally invested, planning imaginary conversations and pretending you're chill while emotionally holding a clipboard. Control failed. Again, the illusion of control also makes us stay longer than we should. We think, if I just explain myself better, they'll change. Or, if I'm patient enough, they'll finally see my value. But relationships aren't negotiations where the most patient person wins. Sometimes, people don't change not because you explained poorly, but because they don't want to. And that's hard to accept, because accepting it means letting go of control. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't lose people because you stop controlling things. You lose people when they were never meant to stay the same way you needed them to. Real connection requires uncertainty. There's no guarantee, no formula, no strategy that ensures someone will love you forever. And that's terrifying, but also freeing, because when you stop trying to control relationships, something powerful happens. You stop performing. You stop shrinking. You stop managing someone else's emotions. You start being honest. And honesty doesn't promise safety, but it does promise clarity. Control says, if I act right, I'll be loved. Freedom says, I'll be myself, and whoever stays, stays. And that shift changes everything. The illusion of control makes love feel like work. Letting go makes it feel real. You don't need to monitor every word. You don't need to suppress every feeling. You don't need to predict every outcome. The right relationships don't require constant So if you're exhausted in love, ask yourself this: am I loving or am I managing? Because love grows in honesty, not control. And peace comes when you accept that some things, especially people, cannot be controlled. And that's okay. Don't forget to subscribe and like.